Hey, it's Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and today is Wednesday, March the 20th. This will be our chart lesson for today. Um, I've gotten a lot of emails this morning, people saying, hey, what's the deal? It sure is boring, sure is a tight range. Well, today is FOMC News Day, so even though I don't expect much is probably going to change today, so it's probably not going to be a real volatile news. It always has the potential to be. And to be honest with you, FOMC interest rate announcement dates are normally some of the most volatile days you'll have in the stock indexes. So you got to be aware of it, and you got to respect it. And generally, what I tell people is, be flat at 1 o'clock because you never know what might happen. I mean, if they were to come out and have some kind of surprise interest rate change, which nobody's probably expecting anything to be different because it hadn't been forever and the economy's not getting much better. But assuming they did come out and had a rate increase or they lowered the rate, whatever, this market could go nuts in a blink of an eye. And so, um, I tell people, just be flat before 1 o'clock. You don't want to risk it. It's not worth risking it. And especially the way we trade when when your stops are so tight and you're just trying to get small profits, it's not worth, it's not worth trying to hang on and see what's happening. Generally, what you'll see is the price action will still be valid, but it'll move so fast you can't really read it quick enough and enter quick enough and know what's going to happen. So, but that's why the market is so flat in this tight range right across here. This is typical of what you'll see on FOMC days. Everybody is just waiting on the news to come out, and so there's not a lot of buying, there's not a lot of selling. It's just little guys probably trading back and forth between one another. So still doesn't mean there's not a chance to make money. I got an email today from a gentleman that emails me quite a bit, and said he's had one of his best days ever, and I was real excited for him and real proud for him. But used to, I know he on a day like this he'd send me messages and say he got chopped to pieces, and today he sends me a message is kind of he's excited and he's already made 500 and something dollars today. And so that's great. I'm proud for that guy. He knows who I'm talking about, I'm sure, if he's watching the video. Maybe some of the others of you have a similar story. That's great if you do. And there's probably some of you that are struggling today. But let me show you something here. Notice the EMA, how flat it is. Notice how prices are continually on both sides of the EMA. That's a perfect clue that we're in a trading range, and you got to go to range rules. And the range really started up here today and down here. This is where we kind of were starting, but the lows kind of moved up to here temporarily, and now I'd say you're probably getting the most touches right across there. So that's where I would have my line now, and the highs have kind of dropped off here, and you're getting most of your touches right across there, and that's probably where we're heading to test next, right in there. And it's really getting kind of tighter and tighter, as you can see that. So notice that I don't have any trades marked out here. This is not worth entering in. Stay away from it. It's just not worth fooling with. Now, in the beginning, there were some nice little setups here, chances to get long. We'll move this back to kind of how I had it at the start of the morning. And then let me show you this too. There's a couple of different ways you could have seen today. I believe this is a spike and a channel, and you can see this is your channel. But if you drew this trend line off the first two swings, you can actually find the upper side right here, and you can see we kind of broke lower, made two legs up, one more attempt, and we've kind of been correcting ever since then. So either one of them, no matter how you did it, it's valid. You come to the same conclusions. On this one, you didn't get a break till here. You run up to a new high, and then we've kind of been in the trading range. So to me, that's clearly a spike up, but it's too steep. And then you can see we kind of, and you can see this channel coming into play. We bounced off this line once, twice. We broke it, still made the new high right here, and or the retest, and then we started correcting. So it doesn't matter how you saw it, and this is a good example. As long as you get it close and you're in the right ballpark, Sometimes it's real easy to find, sometimes it's not, but you'll see a lot of these spikes, and you'll see this in the opposite where it spikes down and then goes into a channel. So just be aware of that, but this is, I believe this is what we're seeing here, a spike in channel, and you can see that spike up, and then we kind of went in this channel. That's still a relatively cheap channel, steep channel, but you can see prices playing off that line, and if you just copy that line and move it over kind of to the high side, and maybe it's even right there, like that right there. That's probably more like it. We probably overshot it a little bit right here on the spike, and then that's kind of the channel right there. And you can see that it just, the price action fits perfectly. So I believe that's what we're looking at, a spike in a channel. But again, if you drew it off the first two swings and copied that and drug it over, it still works. And you still got the break and the two legs up before we went into the correction. So again, close is often close enough, but for the most part, since I've been here I got here just a little before 7, and since I've been here, we've been in a range. When I got here, we were still in this up channel, so you had to be, interested in these longs here, but it was pretty clear after that that we went into a trading range, and like I said, this is typical for an FOMC announcement day. You're going to see this quite a bit, so just be prepared for it in the future, and don't get caught off guard by it. But let's back out a little bit where we can see, since this is so tight. And you can see here's the spike, and we went in the channel. And the first trade I saw after I got here, you didn't want to be shorting this in any way. Not yet. This is, we got one big leg up, you got a correction, and you're trying to make another leg up. So you're looking for longs until you get some kind of break of a trend line and some kind of reversal type pattern at the top, at the highs. And so the first trade right here is a little trap. Notice you got this first move down, you tried to go higher, and then you got a second entry short right there, and then prices turn up, bounce off this trend line right here, bounce up. What I did, since we broke lower first and then turned up, I went long just above that doji. That's those two double top matching highs there. That's where you want to go long if you saw this little trap. But if you missed that, you could go long right there all the same. And it's an easy scalp. By going long down here, you didn't really help yourself that much. Sometimes you'll end up getting a runner or whatever, but it didn't really help you here because you still came back and got it. But then guess what? You get a chance to enter here again on another little pullback to come back and get the stops to the EMA, the trend line, and you got that one little trap right there. It was a little iffy because you had these overlapping bars, but you'll see that a lot. And if it's with the trend, they're a lot more reliable. And that one little tick lower right there probably helps a little bit. You go long right there, and easy move up to a new high, quick scalp. Again, no runners, they come back. But guess what? This is the first break of that trend line right there. And again, it's a pullback to the EMA. It's really two legs. There's one leg back. See the little doji? Then a second leg back. If you went to a smaller chart, you'd see two clear legs. You got to take that, especially with that reversal bar. All you got out of it, again, was a scalp, and then we sell off. And there, you really might have even thought about going short, but I don't think it was a good short because this trend is really strong. And even though we're finding resistance, there's a chance you could just pull back and turn into a breakout, pull back long. And some people got probably tricked right there doing that. But if you saw that little bitty doji and you went short there, it's a really aggressive trade. I considered it, wanted to take it and talk myself out of it because I didn't want to get caught on this trend because there's a chance that we're going to make another leg up here, but we didn't do it. So, I mean, this is kind of a reversal type pattern. Now you got a lower low. It's not really a reversal. It's more of a correction, but there is a two-legged correction here. And just in case you can't see that, I'll show you. You got one leg back, then you got your correction, and then your other leg. And if you measure those, and notice there's two legs in this correction, and then another leg down. And hopefully you can see that. and we kind of had this channel working down, and then now the range is kind of taken over, and so I believe we're in a range now. But you couldn't ignore what was going on here at the time, and so there's a but right here we're trading the let me show you this trade, and there's a you're thinking short right here, but there's not a good setup, and you've got all this support right across here. So I'll wait, and I considered going long right here, but still it's a little iffy. You don't really have the channel in place for sure. You just got a lot of longs right here, or a lot of support right here. So it's possible this is a good long, but you're better off to wait and just see what happens, and then we get another chance to go down. And now you got a second entry short right here. For the most part, even though you want to tick lower here, that's not enough really to change that pattern. And so that's, and that's close enough to being a second entry short that fails. You go long right there, and guess what? It gets just enough to get our scalp, and then it turns back. It tries to go higher again, makes a lower double top than over here. Big reversal bar, great place to go short right there. It took it a few minutes to work on down, but you can't really ignore that in this range. And right at that point, your lows are right there. So there's enough room to really work out of that without having to worry about, you kind of got this down sloping channel, and you found this off the lows here, and I drug it up, or I found it off the lows and drug it up. And when you had those stems up there and all those closes down in here, that's kind of confirming that we got a little downward action going here. You might have gotten shaken out of that one. Hopefully not. If you'd held on, it would have worked out. But guess what? Now your highs have worked down to here, and you can see that from that point on, you've got this channel going here. And so when we came down here and we tried to go lower twice and made a little bit lower double bottom and got that reversal bar, you probably wanted to think about going long above this bar, but definitely above this one. Again, it took it a little bit to work on through, but you got to buy these lows and sell the highs. That's the only way you're going to make any money on a day like this. If you want to trade, either close it up, or the only way to enter is at the extremes. And as it's getting tighter here, like here, you don't even want to really, be going long way up here. You got to get in down near the lows or up near the highs. And so you got to make sure there's room to get out before you get to the other side, basically. Sometimes it'll go on through a tick or two and help you out, but there's no guarantees that prices will do that. And you can see that right here, right here, right here. It couldn't get through there, but there's you a chance to go short, and now this has moved down here with these lower closes. And so there's plenty of room, even though we couldn't get back down there's plenty of room, and this would have worked out. You got enough for another scalp. And then from this point on, it's just starting to kind of tighten up, and you can see that the range is getting tighter. So you don't, it's just not worth entering anymore in here. There's been no trades really since this last entry at 10 o'clock today, and here we are, it's 12:30, so 2.5 hours, there's really nothing going on much there. So I decided to go ahead and do the video, get this over with, and it's a pretty day here, no clouds in the sky. It's a little chilly, but it's a nice day outside, so I'm going to wrap up early today and call it a day. I'll probably hang around here for the FOMC news just to see what happens, but after that I'm probably out of here. So but that's what I saw today through 12:30. Again, from this point really on here, there's just not much happening. You might have thought about going long right there, but hopefully you saw this trend channel, and you can see it's coming into play, and we finally got the break right here, and we moved down. We haven't been able to make any new low, but I would just say basically what you got is this trading range right here, and it's getting tighter as we get closer to the news. And will it go lower or go higher before then? Who knows? I don't know. But you don't want to be entering in this stuff. Stay away from it. It's and again, the clue that you're in a range here, if you can't see that, is that look at the EMA and look how prices are continually on either side. I look coming up here, right here, how prices are continually above, and this is kind of pointing up. That's a good indication that you got an uptrend. But then guess what? It flattens out here, and prices are on both sides. That's a great clue that if you can't see that we're in a range, that we're in a range. And you can kind of see that even from right here yesterday, even though we're working up here. Notice how prices are on both sides of the EMA. It's not a strong trend. Now here's a strong trend. Look how most of your prices are below the EMA. You got a little break up right here, but the majority of all your bars are on the low side. Just because you go above doesn't suddenly mean the trend's changed. You got to follow the trend line rules. That's the better. Now if we keep trending up here and stay above, then you got to start going with what's there. But until that happens, just a break above the EMA doesn't mean the trend changed. And because you can see that a couple of times. Notice that we barely got above it here, and then we had a big sell-off. But notice how we got further above it this time, and then the sell-off is less steep. And then we get above it again. It tries to go lower. Now it's getting less below it, so we're starting to trend up. And then now it's just really from here on, you're kind of on both sides with a slight bias to the upside, because notice how it's going further to the upside than it does below it. And you can kind of see how flat that is across there and how we're on both sides. So this is kind of a trading range area right in here. And then we spike up, prices get above the EMA, and look how all those bars are above the EMA until you get your first little break below here. And then since then, we've just kind of been up and down both sides, and you can see it, and it's getting flatter and flatter right here. And the range is getting tighter and tighter. You know, your range is more like that right now. It's just tightening on up, and that's probably what will happen until the news comes out. So that's really about it that I can show you today. You know, remember, until you get a break and a correction, that, you know, the trend was up here, so the bias has still been up. So that makes even these buys here a little more important than these sales. But really from here on, we're in a range, and there's no doubt in that. And you know, you got to be able to spot that pretty quickly and change gears accordingly. But that's the upper edges of the range right there, the upper and lower edges, but it's getting tighter. And this is a good example why you don't want to enter in here, because look what happened. It just keeps getting tighter and flatter. So, and of course you could break out of here any minute and go 100 miles in the other direction, but my guess is it's not going to happen until the news comes out. So I'm going to wrap it up and be ready to watch it and just see what happens, but I'm done trading for today. You know, even though there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 really good setups, there were a lot more trades than that, but based on following the rules and not being too aggressive, there were, you know, 6 or 7 really good setups today. And if you only made a scalp on one contract off of those, that's $350 you could have made today. So you don't need a lot of trades. You don't need a lot of entries to make pretty good money. And so multiply that if you're trading two contracts, and you had a chance to make $700 a day. And if you're trading 3, well, you know, you made you $1,000 a day on just a few trades in here. And so, you know, don't think you got to enter a lot of trades. The better bet is to stick with the high probability trades and add on to your contracts. At least that's my opinion. You know, why risk a lot more entries when you can take the best entries, the ones that are almost sure things, and use them to capitalize on. That's my philosophy on that anyway. So, and I know everybody's got their own, but that's what works for me, and that's been proven to work over a long period of time. And I know a lot of people have success going that route. So, but anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back to do this tomorrow. Hopefully you understood this. If you're watching this, if the video uploads before the news comes out, make sure you're flat by 1 o'clock. Like I said, I don't expect anything crazy to happen today, but you never know. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.